Harlem young lady, born and bred, and really happy to have the opportunity to have a business within the community. And we're going on our 25th year.
25th year?
This year is 25.
I wish
Yeah.
I could clap. I'm just have to give you a fist bump right now. Look at air fist bump. Excellent. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Very nice. Very nice. And we have something in common because you and your mom started, right?
Yes, my mom started when I was 5. We was in the fifth floor walk up in the Bronx, and she started the business, and I was fortunate enough to keep it going in the house at 30 years ago, and brought it to a storefront 25 years ago.
Excellent. Good for you. That's huge. Look, I want to clap so bad, but yeah, I'm a cheerleader. Thank you, Aliyyah. So, Aliyyah, I'm gonna say Aliyyah Cove. Off to you.
Right, Aliyyah Cove. That's
Right.
what I'm known for now. But Aliyyah, I'm the owner of Cove Lounge. I also have a real estate company, and that's another thing the other Aliyyah and I have in common, which has been in existence for 25 years.
Excellent.
So, and that being a Harlemite and starting that, entrepreneurship, which
Yes.
definitely got from my grandfather, who had a real estate company in Harlem as well, and stores.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the way.
That's excellent. So that's another thing we actually have in common. I don't own a real estate business, but I own 2 properties down in Philly. And I grew up with my uncle buying properties all around Philly and collecting that rent money. So that's how I got interested in it.
It's a little challenging now, huh?
Just a little bit. Yeah. Thank God my tenants, our tenants are able to pay right now. I think their jobs are good. I'm knocking on wood. For now, they're okay. So we shall see, because times are tricky for everybody. So I want to talk to you about the big elephant in the room, COVID-19. I mean, for the past 2 months, we've all been pretty much on lockdown, so to speak. And I like to say our wardrobe has changed a little bit. We now have a couple of additions to our wardrobe, wearing the mask and wearing the gloves. But I just want to know, how have you 2 been doing, just personally? I know it was a big shock. It was so abrupt that our lives changed. And just want to know how you guys are making out, just personally. How's your family doing? Aliyyah Cove, I know you got a lot of little ones, young people in the house there. So how are they making out?
Yeah. Well, I'm in the house with, we have 5 kids at home. So it was difficult the first couple of weeks. I mean, it's still a little difficult, but getting everyone on a schedule was important, and it helped me get a little bit of sanity.
Sure.
We have them on a schedule. I'm like, teaching and homeschooling, the chef, the housemaid, everything. So wearing all those hats,
right?
It's quite challenging.
Homeschooling, how are they adjusting? I mean, I've been hearing the stories, and I see the post on Facebook, like, yeah, we're having recess again. But how have they adjusted to the whole?
I mean, it depends on their age, So I have a kindergarten, twins are in preschool, then I have an 8th grader. So their level of work and how long they're actually logged in school is different.
Right.
The younger ones is a little bit more flexibility. The older ones, they really have to get in there, do their homework.
Right.
And my 14-year-old is really social. So this has been very difficult for him and me as well. So we kind of clash a little bit because keeping up with his work, having to be the dean, the mom, it's a lot.
Everything comes into play. I mean, I can't imagine being a young teenager and you still have to keep up with schoolwork, but there's that fun side too. Not being able to interact with, the other kids is rough for them. So my heart goes out to you, because when you said 5 kids, I'm like, woo. And I know it's a blended family, but we always say that God doesn't give us anything that we cannot bear. So you are guided and protected. Yes. How about you, Aliyyah?
Well, there hasn't really been a pause for me in
Mhm.
this. We found that making a decision to stay open because I'm at the boutique shop on Columbus Avenue, um, there was still momentum over there.
Mhm.
And we're the only small business on a block of corporate stores,
Mhm.
franchises like Bear Burger, Home Goods, TJ
Mhm.
Maxx, those. So the layer of information that started to come out at the point where people were making a decision to close. But then you looked
Mhm.
at the block and you're like, okay, Birch Coffee is still open. You know, it's a small
Okay.
spot. A couple of places that was still open, as well as the big stores, it was still open.
Mhm.
Um, so we felt like we can hang in there. But what you don't realize is that with the cycle of people not being able to work, that also starts to affect your business because people are not spending as much.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
they're not having parties. Our business is more not just walk-ins. Our business is celebration events. So
Right.
we're not doing parties for people anymore, birthday cakes.
Yeah.
And so watching the numbers became an every 30-minute thing. And whether I was doing that before, the level of anxiety
Mhm.
starts to take on a face of its own. And you don't
Mhm.
realize that that's what's happening because the pressure of your staff being there. And
Right.
then we're like, okay, now I had to cut down on staff.
Right.
One person in the front, one person in the back, because it's a small place. We have to do
Right.
our level of social distancing within that space. And I wanted my staff to
Yeah.
feel comfortable. They weren't always, and that's really important. And then balancing the fact that I have a young adult at home for freshman year in college, and now
Mhm.
it's just like watch, the little ones. Yeah, the
Mhm.
big one you got to watch too. Are you on? Are you online? Are you doing your classes? And staying on top of that because you don't want her to be compromised, and the fact that I'm still running out trying to keep the business afloat. So we've seen an incredible dip in sales, but the
Mhm.
customers have been supportive enough that right now it's making the payroll and
Mhm.
it's still having human contact. So it's I think every single day of this, as it has taken place since March,
Mm.
every day is a different unfolding.
Yeah.
And so the anxiety from that is what's going to happen tomorrow?
Exactly.
What
Yeah.
is going to be mandated tomorrow?
Exactly.
Is May 15th, what will May 15th bring?
Mhm.
Are people just going to be happy to be able to go out to the park? Or are they
Right.
going to be happy to get to Cove Lounge or to make my cake? Like, I
Right.
don't, that becomes a question. And hopefully the answers don't become too overwhelming for us to figure out. But I have to say this is like parenting. This ain't scripted. Like
No, it's
we're
not.
figuring this out on a daily basis.
Exactly. And I know I'm so thankful for Cuomo. I don't know if you guys watch him almost every day like I do, but like I'm glued to the TV when he comes on with his updates because I want to hear the facts. I want to know what's going on. And I know that they're coming up with a plan to phase in the different businesses in terms of reopening, which is interesting to see how they are prioritizing
Mhm.
businesses should reopen and when. I don't know. I have a lot of, like you mentioned, the word anxiety about the whole thing. Because before it was nothing to just meet up and go to Cove or any of the other places and meet for dinner and have a couple drinks. We did that without even thinking about it. But now, what's it going to look like? So
Right.
we'll get into that. Just
Yeah.
at it for a little bit. One of our questions that came up, Aliyyah Baylor, was if you could repeat where you're located.
Um, um, our Upper West Side location is on 97th and 98th Street. Columbus Avenue, and our uptown location is 139th and Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Boulevard. And the exact address is 2380 Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Boulevard, and the other location is 775 Columbus Avenue.
Mm-hmm. In Cove. I know where you are, but if you can tell everybody else.
Cove is on Malcolm X Boulevard between 126 and 127th Street, 325 Malcolm X Boulevard.
Cool. Good. All right, so the messages are coming in a little bit faster. I'm just laughing because if you could see this little man, I think I showed you the little man, my little. It's
like you're
funny.
making it work. You're making it work.
It's all good. I'm
that.
like, I want to reposition it just a little bit because I have it charging. Hold on, just bear with me, everybody. I'm trying to prop you up. My handsome, bald-headed assistant just came in. Hold on, I don't want this to drop. Give me 1 second. You sure you're not sabotaging my Zoom Facebook calls? Your friends are sending messages. Please stop sending Bill stuff on Messenger right now, everybody. I can see. All right. I think we're good now. So we have one question here. Let me see, I can read it. So Marcia asked, did the federal government, SBA, state unemployment assist in your time of need? And that's for either one of you.
Well, I'm still in the process of waiting to get funded. I was approved, but I haven't received any funds yet. So
okay, good. Backlogged, I'm sure, Aliyyah.
For myself, one has come in. I've applied for a lot. I mean, anything and everything. I'm even exploring the option of the GoFundMe and seriously looking at that, because what has already been calculated with this SBA loan will be a fraction of what has been depleted over the last couple of months.
Right.
And I'm not quite sure. I haven't approached my landlord yet, so I'm not quite sure how. It's like one of those things where, again, that I hate to keep owning anxiety and owning that, but you want to have something to say, I got this now. How can we move forward? But you don't want to start that conversation that you wanted to start a couple of weeks ago,
right?
Without having any option, and being in a hypothetical way. So I'm in a very interesting predicament, if I would say, that I need to, once this loan starts to really, once it's deposited, I've got to hire more staff. So, because this is a payroll loan.
Right.
So all these people who have already applied for unemployment, I've got to either offer them a job, which I don't have a problem with some, and then post and hope I can get some employees who are strong candidates to be able to work, because it's like you get the money, you don't want to take out a whole nother loan. You want to be able to have that money where it can be reciprocated and not have to pay it back, because that's just a whole nother thing. So now that minus is another minus.
Right, exactly.
So it's so many pros and cons with the things that are being offered. And I know, Aliyyah, you've looked at a couple of things, and I'm sure you have looked at a couple. You got to read the fine print on all of this. Because the fine print, if it's us reading it, unlike these big corporations who might have a panel of people who are reviewing these things, you don't want to miss something and then go, oh shoot, I wasn't supposed to calculate at that amount. So I just say that to everyone who is participating in these loans, be real clear on if it is a grant. Be real clear
Right.
on if it's a loan that can be forgiven, and what that means, being forgiven, because this is where you get where that accountant and that financial controller is crucial to your
Exactly.
business.
So keep it in
Exactly.
mind that even the attorneys are still trying to figure out some of this stuff because some of the language is very vague. So
Yeah.
they have to go back and get clarification. So you just have to stay in contact with your attorneys and your accountants because every day they're trying to unravel what this really means and what you can spend it on.
Yeah, it's new for everybody. And I'm thinking even from, the mortgage perspective, like they said, you can delay your mortgage for 3 months and this, that, and other. I looked into it. Like I said, I wasn't sure if our tenants were still going to be employed and still be able to pay their rent. And we can't multiple tenants, not being able to pay their rent, the mortgage is still due. So
Right.
bottom line is I looked into it as an option, and I have to tell you, one mortgage company said, yeah, you can defer it for 3 months. However, at the end of the 3 months, the whole thing is due. I laughed, went on ahead and submitted my mortgage payment and kept on moving. I'm like, if they think people, if you can't afford to pay 1 month, how are you going to pay 3 months?
In one lump sum.
And this is where
Mm.
I feel the balance has to happen because while people need some forgiveness and time on paying their rent, small landlords need some forgiveness on that mortgage, or even if you put it on the tail end, but to expect it in 3 months or expect it now, because I still have to pay my mortgage now.
Exactly.
There's no balance. So you'll save, a tenant or a small business, but what happens to that small landlord?
Right, exactly. It's interesting you said that, Aliyyah, because our community, they have meetings for the businesses in our area, and one of the landlords on the call said that he contacted all of his commercial tenants and told them that they were good. They didn't have to worry about paying their rent for X amount of time. I don't remember what it was, but I got stuck on the fact that he was that generous. I'm like, dang, why can't he be my landlord? But I felt like that was huge,
right?
For him to be able to do that and just give people a little bit of relief in a difficult time.
Right.
So, it's very interesting. One of the comments that came in was some kudos I want to read. Christina Johnson said, "Love it. Sisters doing their thing. We need to support our small Black-owned businesses." Absolutely. And
Yes.
something, Christina, I appreciate Bill wholeheartedly for giving me the opportunity to have a voice and bring women here on the roundtable. But, the other day I'm like, we need to focus on some of the small business owners and get the word out just to let people know what's going on and also to see how we can support everybody. So I know, Aliyyah Baylor, you mentioned, your staff, you have one in the front and one in the back now. So how is that going?
So what does that equate? That means Alyah has taken on 3 other jobs. So
yeah.
Whereas the quarantine for some has been daunting because they've been indoors.
Yeah.
I really need a break, and I need that. And that becomes that juggle of, okay, so I can't have my porter come in until later. So I got to spend 2 hours doing part of his job.
Right.
Baker. So it's definitely being grateful for the opportunity to still keep things going.
Yeah.
But what's very key in this time, and I say this, I mean, I'm out. I've coined the phrase, I'm out in these streets so people can get their sweets. But
Right.
the thing is about it is I got to make sure that I'm okay, because
Absolutely.
my business is not going to exist if I'm not. So self-care is key. I've cut down my hours. We're only working one shift, which is equivalent to 8 to 4.
Okay.
As opposed to 8 to 8, which when before COVID. But I had to hit pause just in the last 2 weeks because I really felt like, I'm like, wait, I'm slowing down and I know I'm running, but I felt myself slowing down. So it's been hard depleting my staff.
Yeah.
Um, so there goes that question about finding that ideal candidate to be able to take some of the pressure off of me.
Exactly.
Um, because that's where I have to weigh. I mean, we all have brands. We can't compromise our brands
Right.
with just anyone. We have to have someone that's just as vested as we are.
So true.
And that's that sacrifice. It's like, do I stay open or do I close?
Right.
Because it's about me, but it's also about the brand and being able
Right.
to push through. Because somebody's gonna say, "Oh my God, the cake is it's not right," or the drink,
Yeah, you don't want
if
it to
Aliyyah was
change.
open, like the drink, people,
Yeah.
because our customers are part of our day to day, so they know when things are different,
Yeah.
and that has been a lot of my concern during this time. It's like I got to make sure that I'm okay, so that the business still stays afloat.
So I mean, it's
You
huge
have to
because.
worry about
Go ahead.
you have to worry about when as you bring people back or add people, and we're still going through this pandemic, will they get sick? Do you have
Right.
the right gear to keep them safe? And so that's what I struggle with, not just opening so cold, but how do I keep my
Right.
people, my staff safe,
Exactly.
Exactly.
so that they don't get sick and go back home. So that's
But can I say this? This is the thing that also becomes that discussion with just opening everything up. Can, you know, can we mandate that our staff take a test prior
I
to
don't see
coming
why
on
not.
board? I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Hmm.
because we don't know where they were before. They don't know where I was before. It's like, okay, now we're a part of this space. We need to be able to be, so I, as a responsible employer, need to be able to put something in place that at least we have that as we start to open back up.
Hmm.
And what is the language of making sure that that happens
Exactly.
when there's places that are not even quote unquote giving a test if you don't have the symptoms.
right. And then it's
Yeah.
how often do you give the test, right? Because if
Right.
you come in today, I test you, you're good.
Right.
You
Right.
can go home, get it tonight, come back,
Yep.
So
Yeah.
I don't
But
know
and the thing
that's
also
how
with
it
that,
is.
I agree. I mean, it's interesting because we talked to a young lady who tested positive twice. When I tell you, she had no symptoms at all, none at all. She's on this show. She's a
Yeah.
attendant. You would never know that she had it, but because her coworker tested positive, she got the test and found out that she's positive also. Her coworker, had a lot of symptoms, was going through it, but she didn't have anything. So yeah, it's a new norm. And I mean, I'm usually working in a cubicle, or they don't even have cubes now. In the office, it's just one long table, people
Mhm.
sitting right next to each other. And I'll tell you, I'm a big germaphobe before the pandemic even kicked in. People would come to work sick and sneezing and blowing their nose. I'm like, oh God, just take a sick day. Don't save for a bright sunny day to go.
Oh, you know what? I'll take a sick day for you. I'm going home.
Exactly. Yeah, I'll take it because I don't want to be here.
Right.
But I mean, just on a serious note, and I think about Cove often because I had a fabulous birthday party / surprise engagement party there a couple years ago, and my husband packed the house. Right,
He sure did.
Bill
He sure
packed
did.
the place. I mean,
Yeah.
we've been there for birthdays, just all kinds of celebrations, and
Right. And we have no idea what that's going to look like.
right, what is it going to be like now when this is quote unquote over? And when is it over? We don't know, but I don't know. Have you considered how things could be? How they could?
I have. I mean, if we take how the rest of the country's going and you're at 25% and just trying to work that number and see if it makes sense. Will I be able to keep my doors open and pay for everything at 25% capacity?
Right.
I'm still working that out and seeing what else I can add and do
Right.
to keep it going.
Exactly. And right now there is no right answer.
Right.
Like you said, there's no rule book. This is totally new. We don't know what to do. We just have to try and come up with some different ways. Aliyyah Baylor, you mentioned the big A word a little while ago, anxiety. So full confession, I had like a major case of anxiety, I think about a month ago. And it just hit me out of nowhere. The whole crying and shaking just came on so quick. And it really took some effort for me to, let it pass by and get over it. But just prayer and a hot cup of ginger tea like we were talking about.
I know, yeah.
A little bit, got me through it, but it was no joke. I mean, it's definitely something that I never want to feel ever again. But anxiety is real. Have either of you experienced any bouts of anxiety? I hope not to that extreme, but how are you handling it personally?
Well, personally, me through just prayer and meditation, because when you think about, both industries that I'm in have been, hit by this, is economically, how will you support your family? That I get that anxiety. And then having to stay in the house, once I've come back from work.
Yeah.
If you have any other anxieties going, I was dealing with a lot of grief. So you have to be still, and being still, you sit in that. So that's where my anxiety came from, because after the day's over and you just sit there, and I don't have that busy work, all that extra busy things to do that will sometimes get my mind off of it. So
exactly,
just meditation, a glass of wine here and there.
Oh yeah, the wine, I mentioned ginger tea, but yeah, it's a glass of wine, definitely. Or like Bill Tito's. I can't mess with that stuff. It's too strong for me. How about you, Aliyyah Baylor?
It's interesting when you start to learn yourself, and over time, I have not quite mastered meditation because I'm super restless, and and I have to say to myself, it's okay to rest. Like I've been having a lot more conversations with myself, and and allowing myself to be able to be okay with what I'm feeling. And a couple of weeks ago, when that first round of money was exhausted, and I'm telling you, I think it started on Friday, and I remember just driving, and I had to pull over and stop, because it wasn't as if that so many other things were mounting up. And then it was just, that was the exclamation mark. Like, wait, we're not getting that? We didn't get it?
Right.
And I was hoping to be able to have that option with my staff, to be able to go, okay, this is what's next. And then have a conversation with my daughter and, my mom, just to be able to, okay, these are some next steps. We got this cushion.
Right.
And I couldn't have that conversation. And I remember just stopping, and I stopped off at a restaurant that was open in Harlem. And I walked in, and they were fixing up something. I said, can I use your restroom? And I remember just going in there and just like, that was my stopping mode. Like I had to allow myself to stop.
Yes.
And allow the process of just letting go of that moment. I said, because once I let go of this moment, I'll be clear, and I'll be able to think of something else. And because none of us have been doing what we've been doing as long as we've been doing without having traumatic moments, having pitfalls and ups and downs. Yes, this is totally different.
Exactly.
But it's a familiar place of being able to say, oh, I got this. But you've got to also be able to go, okay, I'm human, and the stress level is intense, and I just got to be okay with letting this expire, and then just pulling up bootstraps and running with it. So I'm hoping that meditation can fall in line at some point.
Try a
But
little.
I don't usually get past 5 minutes of it, so it's like.
Yeah, I've also done hypnosis, and it really worked well.
Interesting. I've never tried that.
I'm
Can someone do
certified.
that on video? Can they do that video, or you can do it
Yeah.
virtually?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Hmm. You want to share a little bit? How does that work? I mean,
Mm.
late
Well,
when they talk you to sleep, or I don't know, how does that work?
no, I mean, first you have to want to do it, and your mind and subconscious is open to it. And you get into this state where you just your conscious just releases, and it's the best thing ever. Like after I'm done, it feels like I had a full body massage, and I'm good for like a week. It was so good that after my sister passed, I started doing hypnosis just to help me through the grief. That I went to Vegas and took a week course and got certified. So I did all my
Oh,
children
wow.
and having different anxieties, can't sleep. Hmm.
Excellent.
Well, I'm
A whole
okay.
nother show, Aliyyah.
Yes. So this is the next show that we're all going to end up doing it,
No, seriously.
and then we can talk about it, because that's key
After.
about us just finding. We have to find a level of escape,
Absolutely.
because a lot of my escapes don't exist right now until COVID is over.
Exactly.
You know, the massages every week, or that was my downtime, sitting in the movie theater. That was,
Mhm.
you know, these are times when my phone is off, no one's talking to me, and I'm just focusing on something other than my day to day. So those were my balances.
Right.
And just this morning, I said, "Oh, I'm gonna call my friend because she runs marathons." I said, maybe I'll start jogging, or
Yeah.
who knows? I mean, you just got to try something else just to give yourself that option of, you know, brain rest.
I've thought about jogging, but my knees are bad, girl. So I
Listen, I'm telling you the
got a
thought.
fast walk.
That could be a
Yeah,
whole
lose
nother
weight.
show about it if it happens.
But you're right about clearing your mind, because we were talking about so much, and I didn't realize how much we had in common, especially with the real estate and so forth. We wear so many hats, and just worrying about finances alone is enough. Excuse me, worrying about personal finances,
Yeah.
sure that your house and everything is covered, we're good. But then you have to add on top of that your business expenses. You ladies have employees to concerned about. It takes you to a whole nother level. And you're so right, Aliyyah, you have to find a way just to release. Aliyyah Cove, you mentioned meditation. And Aliyyah Baylor said, you still haven't mastered it yet. Neither have I, because I'm constantly thinking.
Thinking.
We're just constantly thinking. But I'm determined this year to master it, because I want to learn how to be still.
Right.
Just lay there and still thinking or calculating the next move. So I zone out. I have to tell you, lately I've been zoning out watching, and I got Bill watching it now, Insecure. Do you watch that on HBO?
It's those binge shows that you watch and you
Yeah.
go, oh, would I be watching this if it wasn't during this downtime?
No.
But yeah, Insecure is my show.
Yes, mine too. That's one of my little vices that I zone out and crack up. So yeah,
I think we all got a friend named, a friend that Kelly
mine.
that mirrors Kelly.
Oh, Kelly, yes, yes. She's hilarious.
I don't
Molly's
know.
kind of
Sometimes
getting
I
on my
think I'm
nerves
her.
though. Too funny. They did a little after show with Kelly on there in Issa. That was. What about exercise? I am horrible at keeping to a good exercise routine. And actually, before I talk about exercise, one of you mentioned getting massages everywhere. I think Aliyyah Cove mentioned getting massages often. And I have to tell you, I love getting massages, but that was another thing that I said, oh, I got to start doing it, and I never did. And now look. Which
Now you
Listen,
can't.
massage.
Bill's gonna do
I
it for you.
know.
No. I have to give him a couple extra glasses of Tito's, and maybe he'll consider giving me a massage. Trust me, I haven't convinced him yet. But exercise is a good stress reliever. So we've just been getting out and, with our masks on, just going for walks in the park just to get some steps in. So I know you ladies are super busy, but Have you been doing anything? Any walks?
Now that the weather has broke, I have a trampoline in the backyard. I'm gonna go out there,
Oh wow, that sounds like fun.
and I like to jump rope, but I have to just, I don't know. That becomes part of your schedule
Right.
because if you don't
It
exercise
does.
in the wintertime because you like outdoor exercising, um, I ain't gonna make no excuses. I don't really do it as much as I should, but um, we've been eating a lot during this time. Like
Right.
Yeah, I told
I'm
you I
in
was
like
craving
really
your
enjoying
pineapple coconut.
cooking, and I've been eating a lot. So that's something that we all have to be conscious about because during this time, what are we trying to do? Keep our immune systems on point. So we can't be counterproductive with over consuming. Um, and I'm no authority on it. Shoot, I sell cake for a living, but it becomes one of those things where you have to do things in moderation.
Yeah.
Um, and having that balance, I mean, is good. And I think it's good. Like with Aliyyah, we got little athletes in the house. So Danielle, my daughter, I ask her to help me with some reps, and like she's got exercise equipment I'm tripping over when I walk in the house.
Oh wow.
So I'm like, oh, and then I'll pick up something and do this for about 5 minutes, and then I'm like, all right, like it's so.
You had good intentions. Like your
Oh,
heart was
yeah. So she walks past me rolling her eyes, but it's like, no, just help me. But the trampoline, I don't know, it's kind of is kind of fun in that sense of just doing
I would
something.
love that. I could definitely see myself on a
I
train.
love trampoline.
My sons have me. I've been in the backyard playing basketball with them. So that's
Oh, cool.
Nice.
great workout. It's a little hard on the knees. So I did order a stationary bike, but they actually enjoy playing ball with me outside. And
That's good.
Oh, that sounds
I
like
did
fun.
pretty good.
Shoot a couple in the backyard. Nice. I want to read something from Marcia. She says she's been preparing taxes for 19 years and her own business for 8 years. She's the CEO and the employee. The most returns I have prepared is 80 for 2016. I am still doing taxes, but the COVID-19 has not affected my business. What I do suggest to those ladies is that they continue to get what is theirs from the government because money is supposed to be out there for them, for you and your businesses. So that's good advice.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Someone else said they love Insecure. And then someone else said, I can't relax, unfortunately, with getting a massage. Yeah, I've heard people say that before, that they're not really big massage people. I am. That's why I'm like kicking myself for not doing it. But I have heard that before.
You have to find some, it's like finding a great hairstylist, nail salon. Like you have to find a place that works for you. Because not everyone can give a massage. You can leave there feeling worse than you started out with.
Yeah, and not everyone likes being touched by strangers, So you have to totally relax. And if you're not relaxed, it's not going to be a great experience.
Exactly. This is funny. I don't know if it's appropriate or not, but I'm going to say it anyway. Yeah, you just reminded me of something when you said that. But years ago, I thought I was doing something nice for my boyfriend way back then, and I got the couples massage. Well, I never even thought to ask him.
You can't make
stories. What can I say?
She said way back when.
Yeah, way back when. It wasn't 6 months ago. I should have known that was coming. But I didn't know he didn't like massages. I didn't even think to ask. I was young, trying to be nice and we can do this. It's real cute. He was like this, like so stiff. The lady, I hear the lady say, just relax yourself. And I looked over at the other table, and he's just laying there all stiff. I'm like, darn it, I wasted my money. But yeah, I digress. Shut up, Billy. Billy's talking about paybacks. Billy Council. I'm gonna have to give Bill a massage. I better ask him first, huh? Cousin said, she said to try the float spa. She said you're in a pot of water by yourself and it's very relaxing.
I saw that advertised, and that's on my list. Hopefully, that's something that will come back, and because it's, that's interesting because it does. That's also like they said that in the meditative, you're more in a meditative state and doing that.
So I guess what your head is up on a pillow and.
No, you're literally just floating in water. It's something in that water that allows you to be buoyant like that. So
interesting. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then you tried acupuncture before also, didn't you, Aliyyah Cove?
Yes.
I think I remember talking to you.
I love
acupuncture. I've tried everything. Yes.
Did you?
What you said?
She said she's tried
everything.
Everything.
I know.
I don't know why I remember that.
Acupuncture is great.
Stress and stress reliever, but it helps.
Yeah.
And I was having knee pains too, so that was like really helpful.
I believe in acupuncture. I started doing acupuncture
I don't like
10 years
needles,
ago.
so I have to tell you,
Nah, I totally forgot about that. Acupuncture is the best. And not everybody can do it, because you should not feel certain things. But the needles, but I find that as pains and things, if you could do that often, that's good. So hopefully that comes back soon.
Yeah, one of our viewers said the old Chinese women are the best. They don't mind touching. Unfortunately, I found white massage techs seem to be afraid to touch our beautiful skin. Just my thoughts from getting a few massages. So I know everybody has their own.
I don't know. I kind of I can go from the extremes, to my favorite. Like anytime that I could treat myself, I'll go to the Mandarin Orient.
That's
and
the
they
best.
And they by far, I mean, Monday through Wednesday was a discounted rate, on the massages. So, you want to go when you can get something, even if it's 10%.
The forehand massage?
Huh?
The forehand
I never did that.
I've done at Mandarin. I've done I think I've done everything, every type of massage there. That's where I first got the cupping. And Mandarin, and I don't trust anybody else to do it because
is so painful.
Oh my God!
I did it. It was so good, and then I try to go there and spend the day. That's what I said.
Look, we both like.
Look at y'all both like this. No, you can't have this. Anybody.
I just saw the pictures of the big circles imprinted on your back, and I just got chills. Like, oh.
Sometimes they'll the first time it was done, and the lady said, "Oh," I said, "What happened?" She said, "Because your skin sucks up in that cup, or whatever that device is." And yeah, she said, "You're under a lot of stress, huh?" Because I said, "You're gonna be able to get it off."
Oh my God.
But I did it a few times there. I won't go anywhere else because she said that someone that's trained in that has to understand where to place those cups. So
you didn't experience any pain?
No, I guess even with acupuncture, I guess I can endure pain because no, I was
That's
good.
because you're a superwoman. That's why. Both of you
Look,
are.
my little,
Put that muscle up.
my little 3-pound weights, lifting weights.
Come on, you at least got to get to 5 pounds, Aliyyah. I mean, you ladies work hard. You got to run your household. You got to run your businesses. You need any kind of we have another comment. Any kind of outlet you can get. So Deborah says the Chinese ladies can be rough.
They can.
She said, I like when the German women used to do it. I'm looking for someone of color when the outside opens back up again. So yeah, I don't have any experience. I've been sheltered all my life. I need to experience some of this stuff.
I think anyone, you could start with reflexology first and just let them start working, start with the feet.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that's not used to massages and having that downtime for themselves, just start with reflexology. Let them massage your feet and just keep it moving. Right?
Exactly.
But that's a starter. That's a starter way of just, because like I said, not everybody can do it. And we all do need to have a little vice or something to get out of our day to day.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
but I'm open to hypnosis. So I think that's gonna be my next. So we gotta talk about that.
I'll think about that, Aliyyah. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It doesn't involve needles.
Sign a non-disclosure because I don't know. You talk during hypnosis? Do you talk during? Yeah.
Yeah, you can't ask
I know I'm gonna have a whole lot to say.
Crazy questions. It could be a blackmail session.
Because if it's anything like my dreams, Lord knows. Yeah, I mean intense.
A lot of it is you just listening and allowing yourself to go in that relaxed state, and you just like basically. I don't want to say go to sleep because you're not asleep. You're conscious enough to know.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll think about it.
We'll
do another Zoom meeting to tell how it went, how our hypnosis went. I was just thinking, this is back to desserts, thinking about, I don't know why I keep thinking about that pineapple coconut cake. It's like my third time saying it, but I have to pay you a visit. But we were walking through the Upper West Side the other day and I saw Ben and Jerry's, and I was like, I had a taste for some sorbet. So I got the raspberry, lemon sorbet. But I was just thinking about how there's a sign on their door that says mask allowed, like you won't be served if you don't have a mask. So do you have a sign like that over at Make My Cake? And
yes.
Put that at Cove when you bring them.
Oh yes, definitely. And I've had to it's such an intense world where people are just always on edge, and when you have to really know how to talk even more so to a customer and explain, because I've had customers who were reprimanding other customers, and I'm like, and you're refereeing some of the conversations. If someone walked in, had the mask, or probably moved it to talk, because it's all of getting used to this new normal of how to work with it. But we have that mask. I mean, I stop people at the door and they can't, because I've had customers that walked in and take it down, and I'm like, whoa, because you're making us uncomfortable and you're making the other customers uncomfortable. So following the protocol is fair. I had one customer got mad the other day because I was like, oh, just if you can step outside for a minute, I'll bring the cake outside to you. They were picking up, they didn't have a mask, and they just didn't grasp why they couldn't stand there and receive the cake. I said, because Governor Cuomo said.
Yeah, blame it on Cuomo.
I'm not sure. It's not a me thing. This is what is expected of everybody right now.
Exactly. And it's about not being selfish. I look at people down here without masks, and I'm like, you're so selfish to only think about yourself, not other people. I don't get it.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of people are in denial of what is, and what we were talking about earlier. There's so many different news reports every single day that we have to move about consciously and respectfully and not be selfish. If everyone's doing it, then let's do it.
And as business owners, we have to protect our staff. So
Exactly.
That's
That's
definitely the main
because
thing.
who's held accountable but us, right? And no one's going to talk about the customer that didn't have a mask. They're going to talk about make my cake, let somebody in that didn't have a mask.
Exactly. So I keep talking about your pineapple coconut cake. I'm making other people's mouths
You
water.
about to have me go back to the bakery and go get a slice.
So Deborah said it sounds so yummy. Give me 1 second here. Your people. Just give me 1 second.
Aliyyah, I'm missing the sidecar. Like you have no idea.
I know.
I'm missing those signature drinks. Can I ask a question? Just we digress for a second. Have you Aliyyah, have you taken this time to think about some other things for
I was definitely
Cove?
going to ask that. Yeah.
Yes, especially figuring out how we'll reopen. So just strategizing and figuring out what that's going to be. But you have to pivot a little bit. I mean, with these times, your business model has to pivot. So
Exactly. It definitely does. We just don't know.
hopefully when I get those funds.
Yeah. Everybody watching, please pray that those funds come in soon.
Yes. And then there's also with these funds, I mean, they put this blanket timeline of how you have to use it.
Yeah.
And for businesses like ours, food, anything within the food industry, it's not realistic to assume that our business that will have the staff to consume those funds, for the payroll and to be able to meet the customers will be a part of that demand. So you just don't want to have staff just there hanging around idly, right? Just because you have these funds, you want to be able to make sure it's a productive business. So hopefully they'll change that and extend for our businesses, our type of businesses, to go beyond those 2 months because they're mandating that you have to use it, if I'm quoting it correctly, within 2 months of you receiving it.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
I don't think our business it's going to take it. The average person is going to have to retrain people, get new people. It's not business as usual. So we've got
Not
people.
everyone is coming back.
Exactly. And a lot of people are not able to come back because think about your household is with 5 children. You're not the only household like that.
Right.
And some of the parents are like, who's going to watch our kids?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be home. So they're weighing the options just like us about going back into the workforce and then balancing out spending the money for someone to care for their children. It's this is there's so many factors that affect us as small business owners because our customers are the ones that are not being calculated in this next phase.
Exactly.
They're not being looked at as how when we open our stores are they walking in the doors.
It's heartbreaking because I mean we all have worked so hard on all of our businesses. Just this year is actually our 10-year anniversary, and I had so many great plans. For the art gallery, we're doing a reception I was going to do this month in May in Philly, and I've never done a solo art exhibit for my mom. My mom's an artist, so I've never done a solo art exhibit in New York for her, and I planned on doing that this fall. Plans are going out the window, but I'm reimagining how we do business. And you're right, this is what we all have to do at this point because they're talking about, the virus coming back again, stronger in the fall.
It's almost like 2020 is done. We're already thinking about 2021, right?
Exactly.
Is that not how some of our strategy is right now? It's yes, we still got to ride this year out, but like 2021, I mean, it's got to be better in the sense of us thinking because we definitely don't want to forget what's happening right now, because I don't think there's still clarity on what this virus is and how it will circle back,
Exactly.
and how it will circle back.
That's the big question.
Because
How?
New York City was looking like a big petri dish the other day on Sunday. Everybody was just out, no mask. It was 75 degrees. People all
Oh, yeah.
on top of each other. I was like, okay,
Yeah. Yeah, we walked past Central Park. We didn't go in, but we walked past and you could just see everybody laid out on their blankets and I mean, just a little bit too close for comfort. So I don't know. Like I was saying, that coconut cake.
Look, as you see, I'm still in the car. I mean, once I get started, I might have to go back to the store because
Oh, I'm
yeah.
laughing too because I guess I must be hungry, but I'm thinking about this first. But now I'm thinking about your macaroni and cheese and
Listen, I just was saying, I'm like,
crab cake
wait.
things over at Cove. Oh,
So strategically, I asked about the
yeah.
menu. Like, has she changed? Was she thinking about changing anything? Because I'm like, okay, let's have a clear discussion on what you don't take off the
There's a
menu.
reason for our questioning here.
Yeah.
We want to know what's going to be on the menu because you will reopen.
Right. The favorites
Yes.
now will
We
be.
are going to support you. Like we're planning
Thank you.
already at Cove, and then we'll go to make cake dessert.
Yeah, please. That the lobster macaroni and cheese. Oh,
That's
God bless you. God bless you,
look,
Aliyyah.
stop. You're making my mouth water.
Hey,
So Deborah said she never knew who you were, either of you, and congratulations on your success and thanks for
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank
Tina
you.
Johnson said, yes, some people get very irate when you tell them to put their mask on because you're uncomfortable around them. I mean, a security guard, unfortunately, just lost his life trying to tell somebody to put their mask on and go in the store.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that just happened a couple of days ago. So it's nuts. Marquetta, oh, that cake again. I should have been talking about the lobster mac and cheese and the cake. I should. Oh, they're so good. But yeah, somebody else says she definitely needs a slice. I know, I keep talking about it. She's open from 8 to 4, right, Aliyyah?
Yes, and we're on Uber Eats, Grubhub, DoorDash. But my other store, 109th Street, is open until 6. The only day they're closed is on Monday, and I'm kind of closing on Thursday. I say kind of because I still go in and get some things done. So I'm be there for a little while tomorrow.
Okay.
But again, I'm it's I got to go back to self-care and giving myself more than one day off. It has to be a few days just so I can just. So the next time y'all talk to me, I'm like, I figured out how to meditate. I figured out how to relax.
Work on that.
Yeah, I mean, I want that for myself. So that's what's important. When you don't think about those things as being necessities, then they're not on the list. But striving for that moment of being still.
Exactly. So 2 more questions and then we're going to wrap it up. Do you make, what is it? Do you make banana pudding?
Yes, we do.
Everybody is talking about dessert right now.
That's my favorite.
Oh man, that sounds.
The banana pudding is everything, and we also do some dessert bowls where we do whipped cream, cake, and banana pudding and cookies. Yeah.
All right, so Aliyyah, it's been a couple comments in here about Aliyyah Cove about you opening up for takeout. So we're gonna need the mac and cheese real soon.
Absolutely, yes.
That was what the question.
And you can put the sidecar in mason jars.
Yes,
Definitely. Thank you.
Definitely.
Okay.
Because you can't have the mac and cheese without those signature jinx, and that sidecar is everything.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, what were we saying about exercise again?
I know.
That's all this. All right, one more. And the owner of Cove, she said, Lord, I live in your place. This is from Petaway. She said, I live in your place and love, love, love everything and my drinks. Cove is my treat after I do a long walk every Saturday. Thank you, ladies, for your
Wow.
to our community. And thank you, to me for bringing us all together. Absolutely. I mean,
Thank you.
we live in both of your places. I know I've ordered the cake for Bill's birthday. And like I said, we've had many celebrations over at Cove. So we're just all going to pray that that money comes in real soon for you, and pray that, we figure out what our new norm is going to be.
And while we're talking about money, if I could just do a little plug, that everyone should do the 2020 census, because more than ever, our community is going to need those funds every 10 years. So if you haven't done it, please go do it. It's easy. Do it from your cell. Takes a couple minutes, but it's much needed funds.
And
this is very critical for that.
Deadline is for it. I have to check when the deadline is.
In July, but just do it now. You have nothing but time.
Do it today. You do it today. You don't have to worry about the deadline. All right. Somebody said done. She did it already.
Thank you.
Good. Yes.
Exactly. Cool. Well, like I said earlier, I love both of you to pieces.
Love you too.
Thank you. Love you too.
I met both of you through Bill, and I mean, there have been some really good friendships I've developed through him. So I truly appreciate that. But I'm so proud of you. I mean, you're definitely an inspiration for a lot of other women who are thinking about running their businesses or starting up a business. I know it's challenging, and we've talked about some of those challenges, but it's worth it. It's definitely worth it in the end. And we'll get through this. We're just going to claim it. We're going to get through it. We have to stay healthy, stay as healthy as possible, and make sure our family is happy and taken care of and healthy as well. But we will hold on tight to each other virtually. Look, virtual hug.
Right.
But I truly appreciate the conversation and you taking some time out of your busy day to chat with me. So thank you very much. And
thank you.
Still coming in, so feel free to go on there. This will be saved up on the Facebook page, so you can, chime in and chat with the people if you like. But any final comments you want to give or say to our viewers before we go?
I mean, I would just say, stay healthy, wear your mask, don't go out if you don't have to until they figure this out, because your health, business is one thing and we all want our business to thrive, but you being alive and well is most important. Absolutely.
I want to say that, one, thank you very much for this time, because it's important that our voices are heard virtually, because this is a different way of being now. Staying connected is important. And I'll, say, self-care, I'm going to keep reiterating that, because it's something that as a business owner, you don't always have that at the top of the list. And during this time is even more mandated to do that. And I got to promise myself and make sure that everyone else is doing the same. And we need to also do wellness checks, call, reach out to people, don't underestimate saying I love you a lot. And basically just being able to have that time, even though it's not in front of each other, do it constantly through a text or with a phone call and leaving a voicemail. That's important. You're not sure what everyone is going through. We talked about stress. We talked about anxiety, and not everybody's open about having those discussions. So we've got to create those dialogues.
Exactly. And we're also used to sending out text messages, but you're absolutely right. A phone call goes a long way these days, and the video chat or FaceTime, whatever it is that you use, it's even better, because we really don't know what people are going through. And just that random phone call. One of our friends was sick about a month or so ago, and I said, I know I'm stalking you, but I just want to make sure you're okay. I didn't mind stalking, and she appreciated it. Holly is sending a bunch of hearts and lots.
Oh,
so, yes, our sister Holly. Look, hey girl, hey.
Hey.
All right, well, I won't won't keep you anymore, but thank you again. Thank you again.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Love y'all. All right. Later.
So we are not live anymore.